Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Solo to Entrepreneur Show. You are with me, Lorraine Chai, the host. And today I have with me Susanna, where we are going to be looking down the road of franchising. So, our podcast is going to be helping solopreneurs, entrepreneurs, and as well as small business owners in terms of giving you guys ideas, inspiration of how you can grow your business and what different ways that you can go about in terms of studying on business. So, welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
It's been a pleasure to actually have you on because franchising is a concept which a lot of people don't actually look into. And when you look into the concept of franchising, people don't usually understand what the pros and cons in terms of franchising. So tell us a little bit in terms of what your experience is. So I know that you have had 15 years of experience in franchising.
Absolutely. And you're right. Everyone that hears franchising wants to run a mile because they just don't know what they don't know, or they've only heard the bad things about franchising over the years. So the good thing is that I want to change that and want to share with the world all the goodness of what franchising does do for those businesses that have been around, tested, proven model that makes money and is easy to teach others how to duplicate their business model.
Mm.
So yeah, it's
So
a, it's it's a key.
So I Googled this, right? Like, what is franchising and when did franchising start? I don't know if you know about this, but it says that franchising started in the 1700s in Europe, where the royal family would actually give land to people for like business opportunities, right?
Mhm.
Which is completely different concept to this day and age, where I read Benjamin Franklin has actually defined and outlined the intellectual property and the whole concept of franchising that we know of today, isn't it? So tell us what franchising is.
Well, most people can relate franchising to McDonald's model. And if you look at the McDonald's model and you actually read that book, it's super interesting what the concept of McDonald's actually came about with. But they actually don't make money. Here's a fact. They don't make money selling burgers. They make money on actually buying the property, and it's the franchisees that rent the property off them for multiple years. And the fact is, it's a long time. So that's how most people resonate franchising to be. And it doesn't matter if you're eating McDonald's in Australia, US, or UK, it's the same. And so the only thing that would change if you look at it, and I do this every day, every time I go traveling overseas, I do go and eat a Big Mac from every country. The sauces do change and certain things do resonate with its actual country that it's in. So yeah, it's an
So
interesting concept.
my understanding is franchising is literally renting a company's name and brand and actually selling the product, whether or not it's similar or not.
Yeah, it's a license. If you look at it this way, is there is a very big difference between a license model and a franchise model. However, it's all the same when you look at it, right? If you're going to license the name, you're having the perks of running the business name, so the trademark name. So let's say you're called McDonald's. It doesn't matter whether you're in Australia, New Zealand, whatever country. You've got the rights to use that particular company name and trade under that recognized brand.
What is the difference between franchising and being a distributor?
A license model, you mean?
Yes.
Yeah. So the difference between it is if you're going to license the model, you're literally giving away your business model and how to do that business, but you're not controlling the way they market the business, the way they promote themselves, and they can pretty much run it and change certain things, and you can only guide it. You can't dictate. If you want full coverage or full access or full authority, I would say franchising is the way to go because you can dictate to somebody how they want to present, how they talk to somebody, how they sell the product or service, and you've got a lot more autonomy over your own brand and control.
So let's talk about a good franchising, right? So let's say someone is interested in purchasing a franchise model.
Mhm.
What is the things that someone would have to look through in terms of a must have, like in terms of support? That's a biggest thing, isn't it? It's like what
Yeah.
else is there in terms of what to look out for a good franchising
Yeah,
company?
good question. So I guess the first thing I would say is making sure that what does the training look like? Apart from doing your homework on the brand and its reputation and its how many franchisees it has, how long has it been trading, are franchisees making money? Super important. If you've got franchisees that are all slogging and not making money, I'd be questioning what's going on. Then I'd question the training, then I'd question the support. So key element in any franchise is you can buy any franchise, but what kind of training do they give you? Do they teach you how to, if it's in signage, do they teach you how to do the signs, or are they just teaching you how to be a business owner? So really look into their training model, really look at, hearing the good, the bad, and the ugly stories from franchisees, because it's not all rosy. And if anyone goes and buys a business and you only hear good stuff about a franchise, I'd be questioning what's going on. There's something wrong. And another little good tip to know is every franchise model will have a percentage of exiting franchisees. It's a fact, and it's healthy to have exiting franchisees, because as the years go by, you want to refresh those franchisees in your system. So if they say to you, "Oh, no one leaves my system," I'd question that, because people do exit their business, and there is a fact towards that. It's 5 to 7 years, and you want to know, what does that percentage look like? If it's too high, I'd question what's going on. If it's too low, I'd question what's going on. So it's got to be a good balance.
So in terms of what is too high and what is too low, it depends on the country and the state kind of thing, isn't it? So
Yeah.
it's kind of doing your homework.
Absolutely. And asking the question, what reasons did they leave? A lot of it can be out of the franchisor's control. Like someone got sick, it's out of my control. Or someone became bankrupt, that's out of my control. Obviously, they have done really bad financial decisions, which have led them to that. But if it's because they got sick, unfortunately, you can't help them in that regards. You just got to help them to get out of that arrangement with you. And either way, you got to declare that someone left your system. And unfortunately, every year, those disclosure documents get updated, and you have to disclose that. How many have you sold? How many has gone out? And those stats are very important to understand.
So what is your experience in terms of people that you help with franchising?
So I felt,
What is
yeah.
like the juiciest gossip or story that you can share?
Yeah, well, there's a lot. So I obviously help individuals either start, grow, or scale their franchise. The juiciest story is those businesses that think that they can franchise and they're ready to franchise, and then you look into their backyard and they don't have systems in place. They don't have a duplicatable model that can be taught, and they need specific, qualifications. Well, you're only picking on a niche industry. So the broader way to look at this is, if you've got a business that you don't need anyone that has formal qualifications, and you can train and teach them how to be a business owner and duplicate that. Doesn't matter if they're in Australia, US, you've got a good model.
Right. So let's say I have a business, right? When would a person know when it's time for them to start franchising?
It's not really a time factor. It's more, do you have a good idea? Is it easy to scale? And is it easy to teach someone? Can you teach somebody that same idea, that business model? So I've had clients that start a business and within a year they're franchising, because the stats do stack up. I've got clients that have been around for 4 years and then decide, I'm going to grow, because for me to invest all my own money in having corporate stores and having the headaches of the capital investment and the people problems, then sometimes it's not ideal. And that's why they move into franchising. So there's a multiple reasons why franchising suits some businesses and others it doesn't.
What's the benefit of franchising comparatively to opening a second or a third store?
Yeah, look, I will always encourage people to open up a second store before they consider franchising, only because I have done it without, and you can, it's possible. But I would say that you want to test and trial what you did wrong in the first, and then master it in your second store. And then with opening up multiple stores, you've got to really look at, do you want to give up a little bit of that your own money, because you've got to put your own money into opening up your own stores, and then you've got the headache of having to manage a larger amount of people. So you want to look at all these things, and franchising usually gives people the flexibility of using someone else's money and expanding their presence in a various ways that they possibly could not do on their own.
Amazing, amazing.
Yeah.
What are the cons that you would say in terms of doing everything by yourself in terms of running, like, let's say 5 stores? Because some people like to buy businesses and they think, all right, I'm going to make more money because I am going to be growing more.
Yeah. So I guess you got to look at it's called number of contracts is how people just look at that. So if you're going to run it as a corporate store and you've got 5, then you've invested so much money in opening up those stores, and you've got all the expenses all on you and the insurances and everything that goes with running a business times it by 5. If you've got 5, and when you go to sell it, you can only sort of get a multiple of 5 kind of businesses out there. It's still an independent business. When you go into franchising, when you sell it, it's actually a multiple of how many contracts you have, the duration of that agreement, and what's the royalty structure you're getting on that revenue. And so the amount of money sort of the value of that business becomes a lot greater versus selling 5 independent corporate stores versus 5 to 10 franchised owned stores.
So back in my younger years, I'm not that young, but back in my younger years, I remembered when I wanted to start my own business, I was looking in the terms of buying over a business.
Yeah.
And it so happened that the particular business was franchising from a major company. Now, to me, there was a couple of red flags when I looked at the numbers and stuff like that. So to me, it was how much you were paying for franchising versus the income that the company is getting. What is your advice in terms of the relative of the numbers and what you see when you do see or help clients?
Yeah, well, it really depends. So if you're going to buy a franchise that's a startup franchise and you're buying a brand new area, I'd question if they tell you how much money you're going to make in that particular area, and tread carefully, because in Australia, in particular, no one can tell you how much money you're going to make. And if they show you what you're making in corporate stores, you really want to make sure it's true facts, and it's not just numbers that they've just pulled out on an Excel spreadsheet. You want to know, you want to see proper P&Ls, you want to see proper balance sheets and so forth. So I always would tread carefully when you're looking at numbers in buying a business. Know how long it's been trading. Are you buying a resale? So an existing store? Yes, then you want to look at the last 3 years P&Ls if it's been trading for 3 years. I've had clients come to me and want to buy a business that's only been trading for 4 months, and then they want a big multiple on that particular store. So I would always say tread carefully, ask for advice, not only from a business advisor. I've helped a lot of clients over the years in knowing what to ask, or the questions to ask and where to go and find the right information. A good accountant and a good franchise lawyer. And that's the key, right? I don't believe I've met, in fact, I've probably only met a handful of franchise accountants that actually do give good advice to their clients to say, go and buy that business. Let's face it, most accountants have insurances, and they tend to say no before they say yes to their clients to buy a business, because the odds are that if that person's going to fail, because it's all based on a person's ability to want to get out there and do the right thing and hunt for business and be a really good, solid entrepreneurial person and business owner. The problem is that most accountants don't rely on what if. They're very factual. And so that could be a real bad,
Outcome, isn't it?
outcome. Yeah. Can you still see me?
Yes, I can. Yeah. Yes, I can. All right. So now in terms of the world of business, right? So as a business coach, I always tell my clients, it's like, if you're going to get into the world of franchisee as a franchisee, it's knowing to see if you have enough support.
Yes.
Because if you don't have support in buying the name or renting the name of the company that you're trying to franchise, and it's going to be quite difficult to grow a business. And it's also, if you're going to have support system, if you're the kind of person that will listen to instructions and actually act towards it, it's not really 100% the problem of the system. It's as you said, you have to do your due diligence in terms of understanding whether or not their system works before getting into that, or whether or not there's something wrong in the system, or maybe there's just something wrong with you as a person because you don't know how to listen to instructions, or you're just doing everything opposite of what you're being told to do, or maybe the system doesn't work.
Yeah, there's a combination of things, and I always say when you're looking, it's two factors to it. If you're looking at buying a business, and there's a we call them a franchise recruiter in Australia. I know that they're called business brokers in the US, and there's the other names, business development managers, whichever way you want to word it. We all do the same thing, right? So, but if I'm guiding someone through the process of buying a particular brand, or I represent a brand, and I'm saying, look into this brand, the reason why they get you to go through different stages is because one, they're trying to see if you, Lorraine, are you buying this particular business? Do you follow the steps that I'm asking you to do? Do you comply with, hey, I need you to fill out this form today and give it back to me in 2 days? And you take a week or 2 weeks, then that starts giving me a bit of a little bit of a trait of, are you going to make this? Are you going to be successful in this business, or are you going to be one of those lazy franchisees that wants to own your own business but yet don't want to do the hard yakkers? So, you want to sort of look at, and that's the reason why most people take them through a journey. And it's just to see if you've got the skill sets, not only the skill sets, but the ability to be a good, successful franchisee, and also follow systems. And also, when I train you, if I'm the franchisor and I'm training you and you sort of say, I don't get that, or you ask questions or you don't ask questions, and then you go back to your business and you go, that doesn't work, and this business doesn't make sense, and you start complaining, well, guess what? They'll come back to realizing, hey, you showed those traits when we were trying to sell it to you, so hence why
Mm.
you
Because
may not
you
make
have to
it.
understand that it's also the name and their brand, isn't it? So it works both ways in terms of them trying to get a good franchisee versus someone that's coming in, where if you're trying to gain, the franchising company, you also need to prove that you are able to be of worth to that name of the
Hold
brand,
on.
isn't it? Because it's all about branding.
Exactly, and it's a reflection. So you becoming part of a franchise brand is a reflection on the actual brand itself. So it's really important from a two-part process is the franchisor needs to make sure that you are the right fit for them and what their true values and cultural worth is. And I say that in a really nice way. It doesn't matter where you actually come from. It matters if you have the same beliefs of the journey that brand wants to go into. And are you going to be a real good addition to that brand? Or on the flip side, is the brand going to be a good reflection on what you want for your life, for your family, for your income to look like? So it really is like a true marriage, and it's got to resonate between the two parties. And if it isn't, remember, it's long term. So if you don't do your homework and you don't do the real good due diligence of exploring, you could be in for a massive long ride on both parties. And it could turn out to be a real sour relationship. But if you do the right thing and you get them through the right channels and people do their homework correctly and get guided by the right people, it could be a really beautiful journey for both parties.
There is of course pros, right? And it sounds scary, but it also sounds really intriguing and interesting. So it depends on how you look at it. But with the right guidance and the right support, I think it becomes easy. Now, how do you help people in terms of who are your clients that come to you, or why and when do people come to you?
Yeah, I've got three different audience. In fact, the first one that comes to me is a franchisor, a business owner trying to get into franchising. So I actually help and guide them through the whole process of, assisting them to put together the model, create the documents for the model, create a manual, and then sell them, market and sell their franchise to go out and find franchisees to expand their presence.
So
I
you
also
literally
then
create a system where they don't need to think about it, they don't need to rack their brain. And it's a workable system where they can say, or if you want to hold my brand, here is what the support system looks like.
I help them try and I help them create their own process
Yeah.
internally into their own brand. Yeah. The other way I help people is those that are already in franchising and looking at what we call franchise recruitment or franchise sales. I help them and their team be able to find the right people to join their systems. And last but not least, those individual people that are looking at buying a franchise, understanding what they're buying before they buy. understanding what you're getting into and asking the right questions and going to the right people for the right expert advice.
So literally you help people that wants to buy in a franchising in terms of making the right decisions and getting the right company. Also help companies that are wanting to start out in terms of franchising, in terms of what to do, what to consider, and how to create a model according to their industry. And you also help businesses to expand in terms of, or scale in terms of how can you promote this franchising business, where you can create more franchising companies depending on where you are, whether or not it's domestic or international.
Absolutely, absolutely. And then I also help brands in Australia wanting to go to the US and vice versa. So we've got lots of companies wanting to expand their horizons globally, and the connections that I can get them into to make sure that the expansion is done by compliance with the country and also by the right channels.
Amazing. That's quite insightful in a world of franchising. So thanks so much. Now, Susanna Hands is from Australia, if you don't already know her accent. But she, as she said, she does help any one of you that is international. So if you're any part of the world, she can look at it for you. Please do follow her on social media. I will put her link on the description, where it will be good to follow her. At least you can have some insights in terms of what she does, to have more clarity if you wanted to know more about what she does. Or if people wanted to reach out to you, they can reach out to you on your social media and website.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Susanna, it's been a pleasure of having you here, sharing your knowledge and insights of the world of franchising. And thank you, everybody, for tuning in. If you do like this episode, please like, share, and subscribe to my channel. Otherwise, thanks, Susanna, and thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Thank you. See ya.